Do you guys remember when you had to choose between PlayStation, Xbox, maybe Nintendo? When the console that you chose would ultimately determine the community that you belong to and the type of gameplay experiences that you would have, who you would go to war for. Those were some great times to be a gamer, but now they're really a thing of the past. It's 2025, and anyone who's anyone knows that the PC master race beats all, and that console exclusive titles just simply aren't a thing anymore. Now, why is that? By the end of this video, we'll have hopefully uncovered just a little bit of information as to why the question Team Xbox or Team PlayStation just isn't asked anymore. Some of the most nostalgic memories a lot of us probably have about gaming is when the first exclusives that we really latched onto released. They forced us into a camp that would define our gaming future. That being, are you Team Xbox or are you Team PlayStation? Whether it was games like Halo, Gears of War, Fable, God of War, Sly Cooper, Crash Bandicoot, the list goes on and on. There were staples of your gaming upbringing as well as mine that kept you where you were on the battlefield of which console reigned supreme. This was all, of course, back when you had to physically go buy your console. You went to a store and you had to buy the games that you played. They came in large boxes and small plastic cases. They had manuals that you could pull out and read through, all of it pulling you deeper into the rabbit hole that you had chosen to go down. Now, today, things are a little bit different, not just with the way that we purchase and consume media, but what's available to us, when it's available, and where it's available. That tangible, tactile aspect of physically going and picking out what would ultimately be one of the first steps along many of your gaming journey has now more or less transitioned to turning on your computer, using your controller, your remote, your mouse, your keyboard to simply point and click at a screen. Within a variety of online marketplaces that serve millions of people all over the world at any given moment in time. So that individual experience of going in and crafting that journey of yours by browsing and picking something out and having to flip a box over, maybe read the manual a little bit, they're just not really there anymore. Now, to better understand the reasoning behind this, let's take a look at some trends that indicated and ultimately led to what we'll call the fall of console games. Now, the time frame for this type of thing is very long, and we're not going to be able to cover every single point along that timeline. There were many factors that contributed to this, and it will be ever ongoing, even for PC gamers and PC marketplaces, that we will actually touch on toward the end of the video. Now, I do want to mention as well, console gaming is not dead. Consoles provide a really easy, convenient way for people who want to come home after work to be able to play games. But there are a few things that have indicated the fall or decline of console gaming and ultimately where it's headed. One of which was the rise of cross-platform gaming. No longer were the players of the PlayStation Live army separated from our fellow Xbox goons. We could now all play together. Alternatively, the launch of subscription-based game passes was a massive shift in the way that players who owned console games consumed them. Now, there was really no reason at all to buy a physical game. It just didn't matter anymore. The digital storefront changed everything. Services like Xbox Game Pass, EA Game Pass, PlayStation Live, all of these services offered immense libraries of games for a flat monthly fee. All you had to do was have a compatible platform to access them from. So here we are in the era of the mass marketplaces that we all know. Steam, EA Game Pass, Ubisoft One, Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Live. All of these things are services that offer games at one fee, included in that fee, to millions of players all over the world, a lot of which are cross-platform games that break down that barrier of consoles and physical need for barriers to even be in place at all. Now, this is important because the rise of this digital and cross-platform economy in gaming was a signal, a big red blaring siren to publishers and developers that continuing to try to keep people loyal to one platform in the future simply wasn't going to work. For one, access to the content in general had just become too widespread, and leaving a market untapped simply to remain exclusive wasn't going to matter to gamers anymore. Pair that with the increasingly powerful capability of the consoles that were being released, starting with roughly the PlayStation 4 on up to where we are now with Xbox One X, PlayStation 5, and you end up with consoles that are a stone's toss away from being a small compact PC. And the prices aren't really that far off either. The next iteration of these consoles will certainly be right there with what many in the PC community call budget builds, ever further eliminating the need to own a console at all. You also have this marketplace serving now to everyone with access critically acclaimed games that were once exclusive titles, like Halo being available on PC, Gears of War, God of War, Uncharted, Ghosts of Tsushima. These games that were once methods of pulling people into a specific console, a specific platform, are now available everywhere. So to backtrack on this ever-shifting trend of moving away from exclusivity would ultimately alienate gamers, the publishers, and the developers, and cost them what this is really all about: money. In the early days, it made sense to have hardcore brand loyalty and fandom. Options for how you purchased and consumed content were far more limited, and therefore these companies could more easily control exactly how you did that. Now, however, it's completely different. So any true gamer knows, without these companies adapting to our ever increasingly digital world, there would be money on the line, sometimes to the detriment of the game. Most of these IPs have one goal, and that is to make money. Now, you remember how I said earlier in the video that even PC users may soon be obsolete, and that fancy hardware that you have sitting on your desk may no longer matter? Well, that may very well be true sooner than you think. The rise of cloud computing still has not made its way into the mainstream, and it certainly won't hit gaming for a long time. Undoubtedly, there will be many phases of testing and access done well before that, but cloud computing has been around for a long time. So what happens if a company like Nvidia decides to start hosting all of their hardware, software, tech, whatever in the cloud? They already do this to an extent for enterprise purposes, but what if, much like EA Game Pass or Xbox or PlayStation Live, you could pay $29.99 a month to have the best hardware that Nvidia can provide? They'll have a partnership with Intel or AMD, depending on which you prefer. Maybe you could choose to use one or the other. Storage would not be an option, as again, it's all stored in your account in this massive online cloud that's dedicated to using gaming hardware. You pay your fee, you have access to everything you need. All you need in your home is a way to get to the internet. So, regardless of where that path takes us, it's safe to say that at this point in time, console wars at the very least are a thing of the past. And eventually, PCs will probably be in the same boat as well, where arguing over which processor you have versus which graphics card I have, how many cores, how much RAM, simply won't matter anymore, because all we need to do is log into our online portal through Intel or AMD, Nvidia, whoever it ends up being, and that's it. We have our online virtual gaming machine that is $20, $30, $40, $50 a month, depending on how powerful we want it to be, and we have access to everything we could possibly need. And none of this was by accident, of course. It's a natural evolution of technology, but as technology advances and grows, and so does the access, the need for things to be platform exclusive or specific, it just doesn't make sense from a business perspective. When there's more money to be made by charging people for subscriptions or simply making the games accessible on every marketplace across every platform, the businesses at hand would be foolish not to do it. It mattered before, and it was even a big marketing ploy before when certain games were released like COD, Rainbow Six, Metal Gear Solid, whatever it was, Gears of War, Halo. If you pre-ordered those games, there was an even bigger incentive to come to that side of the fence because you would get exclusive rewards for them, and that would funnel you deeper into being on that platform's side. Well, now with the advent of battle passes and just bundle packs that you can buy in pretty much any game across every platform, that need is really not there anymore either. So I suppose that a better way of saying it, apart from the downfall or death of consoles, which certainly isn't happening and there's no indication of that happening yet, is the downfall or death of console priority. Now, this has been going on for a very long time, as stated at the beginning of the video, and it will continue to evolve. Consoles are getting more and more and more powerful every iteration, to the point to where you really might as well just build a budget PC. If you're going to spend between $600 and $800, yes, you're not going to get a PC that can handle every game at 4K, but you're going to have something that can not only game for you and probably handle most games relatively well, but that you can use to run business endeavors, do schoolwork, whatever it is that you may want to use the PC for. It's a portal, it's a window into more than just a game. Now, I have not covered every detail or every point on the graph that has led to the downfall of console priority. That video could be an hour or two long. We have just given this a bird's eye view of the way that marketplaces have shifted, the way that consuming interactive media or media in general has shifted, but in this case, specifically gaming. Consoles are great. I have a console. I have a PC. I use my PC for gaming. I use it for video editing, recording, browsing the internet, doing work. Having a PC is fantastic, but it does come with a lot of complications and a lot more to keep up with. So consoles are going to remain that easy, hassle-free way for people to come home, watch a movie, get on YouTube, and play a game for many years to come. But if I were you and I were still on PlayStation or Xbox, I'd probably go ahead and shelf that thing and join the better of the three anyway.